Hey everyone, how are you? Happy Magic Monday. Happy whatever day you're catching this. So this is kicking off a new series here in the Sacred Terrapin, and we are talking about everyday rituals. Tonight I'm going to introduce the topic and talk to you about why everyday rituals are important, why this is something that you want to focus on. I'll give you some examples of everyday rituals, and I'll talk to you about what this series is going to be. And of course, I will give you some sort of actionable thing to do at the end, right? Because I really like lives and series where we're literally growing our skills together. Do you like that? Let me know. So before I go any further, say hey to me in that conversation box down below if you're catching me live or if you're catching me the second time around and recycling the video. I want to hear from you. I love engagement, especially in this community, right? That's the whole reason we have this community. So while you're introducing yourselves, mention one of your friends who's also in Sacred Terrapin. Let them know in that conversation box down below that we're having this conversation. They might want to catch this live. This is not a live that you can share out because this is a private closed community. So before I go any further, allow me to introduce myself to all of you. And I'll tell some of our friends that we're having this conversation also. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Angela Kay. I'm a coach, an intuitive, a medium, and a healer here in Cleveland, Ohio. Every time I do the introduction, those all come out in a different order. It's so interesting. And I love connecting people, connecting women into ancient, rhythmic, wise traditions that we have followed as a human society, a human civilization for centuries, right? So teaching you about the moon, teaching you about seasons, teaching you to ground in, teaching you about that ancient wisdom that we have and how to apply it to your modern day life, teaching you about all sorts of magic that's been around for centuries and how to apply that to your modern day life also. So the reason that you're seeing me in this group is because I am the creator and founder of the Sacred Terrapin, where you're seeing me right now. I'm also the creator and founder of our sister community, our premium community called Sacred Collective. So, with that, let's say hey to everyone. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Kyla. Hello, Claire. Claire Bear's in the house. All right, perfect. I'm so happy to see you all tonight. So tonight, I really want to talk to you. Like I said, I want to kick off this new series. It'll be happening every Monday, like tonight, at 8 p.m., like tonight Eastern time, here in Sacred Terrapin. And we are going to start to really lean in and talk about building everyday ritual into our lives, right? Some tips to build ritual into our lives, really helping you decide which rituals are right for you because they're not the same for everyone, right? And so tonight, I really want to introduce this topic. I want to give you some things to think about. I want to give you some tips for starting new rituals, new habits, etc. Yes, 7 p.m. Central. Thank you, and 5 p.m. Pacific. I appreciate you, Kyla. And I want to talk to you about how we will be also going along with this over in our sister community and what advantages that you might get if you are in both places. So, first of all, WTH do I mean by everyday ritual? So if you know me, you know that magic is literally infused in my life. Sometimes I have to think about doing magic, right? If I'm going to do spells, but a lot of times, it's just natural for me to do magic and spells and enchant things and all the things now. That's from practice. It's a habit. So the way that I define a ritual, hello, Miss Laura, the way that I define a ritual is a collection of habits that we chose intentionally with purpose. A collection of habits that we chose intentionally with purpose. So last year I wrote 2 blog articles talking about my AM magic rituals and my PM magic rituals. And you all ate it up. You loved it, right? It was really helpful. But some of the feedback that I received was, wow, that's a lot. How do I start? So that's one of the things I want to talk to you about tonight is I'm going to talk to you about some of the things I do in the morning and in the evening. But I really want to talk to you about the fact that this is not about overhauling your life and trying to add in all the things at once, which is along with the same advice that I always give you when it comes to where to start So many of you are like, I'm interested in so many things. Like I'm interested in learning about crystals and the moon and herbs and my clairs. And so I always like, pick one place to start. Try it out, try it on, see how it feels, especially when it comes to rituals. See how you want to tweak it for yourself. See if you don't want to tweak it for yourself. Chuck it if it's not for you, right? And grocery shop. So this series will hopefully be able to introduce you to different rituals that you can try on, see if they fit, like if they're good for you, and if they're not, you can toss it, but if they are, you can start to incorporate it, right? So different habits that you can incorporate into your ritual. All right, I've said habit and ritual so many times so far that they don't even feel like a word to me anymore. Have you ever done that before? So different things that I do in the morning, right? And some of you have read this, but some of it has tweaked, especially in 2020, because anybody else's 2020 changed their sort of like life? Yeah, right? A lot of us have grown, we've evolved, all sorts of things, right? So things I do in the morning. I have a dream journal, right? So if you were in Sacred Collective and in the group coaching call that we just did, you know that journals came up, right? I have a lot of different journals. I have a journal for this, I have a journal for that, I have a journal like to keep it all clear, right? So I have a dream journal. That's where I put my dreams. So when I wake up in the morning, or sometimes like if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, whoa, like I need to remember that, I write my dream down. You might not remember all of your dreams. You might only remember a chunk of your dream, but just jot down what you do remember. The reason for this is that dreams are literally some of our soul work that we're doing. Like we're often receiving in our dreams. Some of you are astral projecting in your dreams. And the more that you start to track your dreams by journaling about it, the more that you will start to understand, right, different themes that are showing up, or like the same character or the same problem, or like I have reoccurring dreams about tornadoes. And so it really helped me understand, like, what does the tornado represent in my dream, and what does it mean when I'm having this dream for my life, right? So this is why I keep a dream journal. So one thing I do in the morning immediately is dream journal. I immediately drink water, right? So water before coffee for me, as much as I need coffee at this point in my life to like function. I also have water because hydrating is super important. And hydrating is important for people who are healers, intuitives, mediums, coaches, magical people who are going to do spells, etc. Energy moves through us. We need to be well hydrated, be really taking care of our physical vessel, right, in order to do the best work that we possibly can. So dream journal, water. I stretch. So I don't know about you, but my vessel at this point in my life can get kind of stiff, right? And so I stretch, right? Like stretch my arms out, stretch my back out, stretch my legs out, stretching. So you can do that from bed, you can do that out of bed. Maybe for you that's a yoga practice. Those of you who know Heather Nieves, she does yoga online and she has all the replays there also. So that's an opportunity, like a way for you to do yoga at home. Maybe you go somewhere else to do yoga. Maybe you also incorporate movement into your daily ritual. I incorporate movement into mine. It looks a little different than other people, right? So some people really like to run. If you see me running, there's probably a bear behind me or a very, very large spider, right? So I'm not someone who enjoys running for fun. Claire Darcy is someone who enjoys running for fun, right? And she has spent a lot of time learning to do it, right? And learning to do it effectively and really growing up her endurance. But so for myself, movement is not running. For me, movement is dancing and jumping and like all the things. Kyla does, oh boy, I don't know. She does like the mini tramp thing. Kyla, what is that called? I can't for the life of me remember all of a sudden. Feel free to drop it down there. All right, so movement. So we have stretching, we have movement, we have our dream journal, we have drinking water. I always, always, always enchant my beverage. Always enchant my beverage. And I just did a challenge a few weeks ago over on my profile, 5 days, teaching you how to enchant your beverage. And this really, so enchanting my beverage is for a few reasons. Enchanting my beverage, yes, it's because like I literally want to like do like a little spell work in the morning, but it's also because it makes me pause, it makes me ground, it makes me check in and ask myself, what is the direction that I'm going with my day? what is the thing that I want to manifest today? What energy am I feeling? Where am I headed, right? And being very conscious and very intentional about what that energy is that I'm going to cultivate on that specific day. So I enchant my beverage. I usually pull myself a card, 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. It really depends on what soul feels like that day, right? Like tomorrow's the full moon, so I'll probably do a full spread, but sometimes I just pull myself 2 cards. When I say cards, I mean oracle or tarot. That's up to you, which one you use, right? So I do that. I also do a little smidgen of meditation in my morning somewhere. Now, some of you are about ready to pump your brakes and turn this off because you're like, shut up. You do all of that in the morning? So let me be clear. When I was working my 9 to 5 at the firm, I did not do all of those things in the morning every day. I did the ones that felt good to me. And then I brought other things into my evening ritual, which I'll talk to you about in a second, or I brought some of that into my evening ritual. So it's totally up to you. That's why I started this live saying, like, grocery shop this, try it on, see what feels good. Try one thing at a time. We're going to talk about that in a second, but you can start to build your habits and stack them. And by stacking healthy, intentional habits, that's how we create rituals for everyday magic in our everyday life. Okay, so my tarot, my meditation, like all the things, right? Oh, I also always get my diffuser going because I use essential oils. So I always set my diffuser up in the morning. Those are some of my magic rituals that I do on a nearly daily basis, along with gratitudes. I was looking for the journal that I do them in so I could show you. There it is. This is the problem, right? Claire and Kyla were talking about the conversation we all had about 30 journals, and that I have 3 here, I have 5 there, but this one was over there. I also do my gratitudes every morning. This literally, like, this takes me, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, but it like really shifts like what I'm thinking about. It shifts where my attention is, etc., and it helps me cultivate joy. So it's definitely worth it. All right, so those are my habits that I do in the morning, along with all the other stuff, right? Like maybe you take your vitamins, maybe you shower, maybe you brush your teeth, like maybe you brush your dog. Like I don't know what you do in the morning, but so these are just the magic ones that I stack on top of my normal ones. So I just said that we have AM rituals. We also can have, you can choose PM rituals. So maybe you're like, Angela, I don't like the morning. If you're like Claire, you do not want to get up any earlier in the morning than you have to, right? Maybe you have kids and you're like, getting myself up and getting my kids dressed. Like I hear you, right? When I had kids at home, like got up, made the tea for my husband, got the kids' lunches packed, got them out of bed, reminded them to get out of bed, got them in the shower, reminded them to hurry up and get out of it. Like I get it. There's a lot going on if you're a mama. So maybe evening rituals feel better after everybody's gone to bed, right? Maybe the evening is better for you, or maybe you're like myself and like Pam Heck Walrod or Whitney is saying nighttime is me time, right? Like I love being awake at night, right? So I've always been like, I can be productive in the morning and I can be productive at night, and the afternoon time is perfect for clients because I don't feel like actually like creating anything, right? All right, so your evening rituals, things that I do in the evening. If I'm going to take a salt bath, and I don't do it every day, that's unnecessary, but if I was going to take a salt bath, right, which does a number of things depending on what I put in it, right? It detoxes my body, the magnesium is good for my muscles, sometimes I put crystals, sometimes I put herbs, like all the things. But if I'm going to do that, I do it in the evening before bed. There's actually science to this. Sidetrack for a second. Did you know that there's science to taking a bath before bedtime? Because your body heats up in the bathtub, and when you get out, your body naturally starts to like cool down, obviously because you got out of the warm water. And as our body naturally starts to cool down in the evening, it's easier for us to fall asleep. Our body naturally drops, it's like raises and drops its temperature when we fall asleep. And so it's a nice way to like move yourself into like being ready for bed, right? So I do that. I often will pull myself more tarot in the evening or work with my pendulum. Sometimes I meditate and talk to my guides in the evening, especially if there's something that I've been reflecting on or I'm wanting answers for myself as a medium, especially if I'm looking for answers from the other realm. I will meditate and ask those things in the evening before I go to bed with the idea that I'm receiving in my sleep. So we can ask for what we receive in our sleep. Sometimes if I am super tired and I don't want to be journeying or astral projecting or traveling or doing all that work in my sleep, like I just need rest, I do the opposite and I purposely create a filter over my crown chakra and close my third eye. So that's something that I've taught in other videos, but a really brief introduction into that is, first of all, know that it's not going to close for forever. If you don't purposely open it the next day, it'll be fine, right? So you don't have to worry about it. Your third eye is right here. This is often what we use for our intuition, for our clairs, etc. It's often involved with how we're receiving during our sleep. So I close it, right? I'll say to my guides, like, thank you. I appreciate all the information that I'm receiving, but I really need rest. Like, I have a human body and it needs rest. And so I'm going to close my third eye. See how I did that? Like I opened, closed my third eye for the night. And I tell them, like, if it's an emergency, if someone's dying, if there's a fire, if I stop breathing, wake my ass up, right? Like, you can come through for that. But otherwise, like, I'm taking the night off. Same with our crown chakra. So our crown chakra, we're often receiving, it's our connection to source, the higher power, etc. So I take my hand, doesn't matter which hand, whichever hand intuitively feels good for you. I put it over my head and I imagine like a sieve or a filter or a colander, however, like cheesecloth, whatever feels good to you to imagine. I place it over my head and I think about the fact that like the good stuff is going to be able to come through. Like the good dreams, the things that feel really good, the restful energy is going to be able to come through, right? The Reiki, because I'm attuned to Reiki. So if you're attuned to Reiki, the Reiki is going to be able to come through, like the source energy, etc. But it's going to catch like the more chunky stuff that I don't necessarily want to deal with tonight, because on this particular night that we're using in this example, I want to rest. So I don't need like big like lessons, like heavy chunky lessons, right? They're just going to sit up there and I can get them later, right? Okay, so maybe you tell your guides what you want to receive, or maybe you create this filter and you close your third eye at night. You can also do some meditation before bed. Meditation's really good before bed. Maybe you're falling asleep to meditation. I've done that when I've been struggling with like insomnia or stress. Like I use a sleep meditation, right? That I literally fall asleep during. If you are doing a hypnosis program or process, you can listen to that before bed. I'm reading the comments. Whitney says guides, orgasms only. Oh, I love you, Whitney. Yes, absolutely. Maybe you are going to use some sex magic before bed. Hope there are no kiddos who just heard that, but that's definitely a thing too, right? Like, and I'll talk about that on a different video. But so there's lots of different parts of our ritual that we might incorporate before bed. Maybe you're doing some journaling, all of the things. I also always choose if I'm sleeping with crystals and which crystals I'm sleeping with if I am. So here's the thing. Crystals are absolutely magical AF, and I love working with crystals. Some crystals really activate our energy or activate our third eye. And if you're sleeping with a crystal that activates your third eye, but on that particular night, you don't feel like astral projecting or traveling or receiving all the information and you literally closed your third eye, then take the crystal out of the bed, because that's not helping. Right? I have some friends who will tell me what crystals they're sleeping with, right? Maybe they tuck them under their pillow or etc. But they're like, man, I'm having trouble sleeping. And I'm like, of course, because your bed's like this with like the crystal energy, right? Like awesome energy, but not conducive to sleeping. So we choose when we're working with what crystal. All right, so that's just a small example of like some of the rituals I do before bed, some of the rituals I do in the morning. When I was working at the firm a 9 to 5 or when I had kiddos, like I did more of that stuff in the evening, and that's okay. No one says you have to do a morning ritual in the morning. No one says you have to do an evening ritual in the evening. You get to choose. That's beautiful. So this entire series is going to be diving one ritual, one habit at a time. We'll talk about one at a time, right? So tonight I talked to you about closing things down, creating filters. One at a time, so you can try it out for a week and decide how it feels. And if it feels good, you can continue to do it and start to layer in. And if it doesn't feel good, you can be like, that didn't work for me, or maybe I need to practice it more, or like, that is not for me, right? And just chuck it. Just chuck it. That's okay. Like, you are not going to hurt my feelings, right? All right. Something that I want to tell you about rituals, though, and intentionally building this everyday ritual practice. And I said this in the beginning, but I want to repeat it again because it's really important. Hence the fact I got quiet. Did you notice I did that? It's like a teacher thing. Did you know that? Teachers change their volumes to keep people's attention. Okay, anyways. Don't go through this live that I just did and go watch the replay and list down all of the different things that I'm doing and try to like incorporate every single one all at the same time. Magical no-no, right? So choose one that you're like, that's really interesting. I want to give that a try, and start to try to incorporate that into your life. If it's, for instance, oracle cards, right? You don't have to do an 8-card spread every single day. Pulling one card is awesome. It's beautiful. If you miss a day, that's okay. Come back to it, right? How many of you have ever decided you're going to do a healthy habit and then you missed it? You're like, I'm going to drink water every day. I'm going to drink like 8 glasses of water every day. And you do really good for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. And then you forget one day and you're like, well, I don't have to drink water ever again in my life because I failed. No, it doesn't work that way. We get to pick up and start again if we want to, right? We get to choose. If it's water, I recommend choosing yes. If it's any of these other things, like, it's up to you. So pick one place to start, right? And then build a habit out of it. So you are all brilliant women. This is not the first time you're going to have heard this, but it takes a little time to build a habit, right? It takes a little time for us not to have to think about it every day and for it to just be natural, right? Some people say that's 21 days. Some people say that's a week. Some people say it's 6 weeks. Like, it's definitely more than a week, right? But so taking time to like really build a rhythm, like try it out, see how it feels, then adjust it to you, build a habit. Then once we have a habit, we layer in another one. And so we already have this one going and we're laying in another one. My next tip for starting new habits, whether they're magical or otherwise, is connect it to a healthy habit you already have. So if, for instance, you are saying affirmations, which I always recommend, affirmations, I connect it to brushing my teeth. That way I know I'm going to do it twice a day. Brushing my teeth at 38 years old isn't something, I'm almost 39. Okay, sorry, I just had that realization live. Anyways, brushing my teeth isn't something I have to think about at 38 years old anymore. Like, it's just natural to me. So when I connect something to that ritual, something that I do every day regularly, it's easier because I'm like, brush my teeth. Oh yeah, I'm going to say my affirmations. Or if it's like feeding my dog, or in this case, my cats, right? Or maybe it's your dog. I have cats that are the size of dogs. Feeding my cats, right? If I attach it to that, like, they're going to get fed. And if I forget to feed them, I don't. But if I did, like, they definitely remind me. So I'm definitely going to remember whatever thing I attached to it. So your habits, your rituals, choose one, maybe 2. Get a flow with that. And then you can layer in something new. The other thing that I want to tell you is that over in Sacred Collective, that premium community that I talk about a lot because it's awesome and amazing and I love it. And that's where we did group coaching tonight on Zoom, right? And that's where we talked about the notebooks. That's why everybody's talking about notebooks in the conversation box. Over in the Sacred Collective, the premium community, it's $28 a month. Super affordable. You get a moon ritual, you get a moon workshop, you get a divination forecast, you get group coaching, you get masterminding, you get lots of things over there. Like, lots of things over there. Something else that I will be doing consecutively side by side with this is that I'll be doing accountability posts, check-in posts over there to ask people, like, what ritual are you working on? What habit are you working on? And just offering gentle accountability. So I don't know about you, I don't really like an accountability partner who's like tucked up there. You know what I mean? Who's like always like, that doesn't work for me. But gentle accountability is what I need. And so that's generally what I offer my clients, unless they need someone tucked up there, in which case I'll help, right? But So gentle accountability. You can do it, you cannot do it, you can fall off, you can come back. Like there's no shame, there's no judgment. Like it's just to allow you a tool, an extra tool to help hold you accountable. So if that sounds like something you would need, it's in the Sacred Collective where that other stuff is at. All right, with this, let me know if you know right now, like, hey, this week I'm going to try this out, right? Maybe it's that closing the third eye or creating the filter, or maybe you're going to pull a card every day, or maybe you're going to meditate, or maybe you forgot and you're going to go back to charging your beverage with intentions. Whatever it is, let me know in the conversation box down below. Next week, same time, same place, I'll be here to talk to you in depth about one of these habits, and we'll go through them one at a time each week. With that, hugs and kisses, everyone. Stay wild, Moonchild.